So this is my level, just a quick overview. It's called Trapped, and with that you are a character who is trapped within this cave system from this area here, which has been blocked off with a collision box, so there's no way of getting out. Um, and with that, yeah, I'll just give like a quick, so we'll just play it now, play the game. The sound that you hear behind is sound that I've created myself using the music door. So that was just a quick, yeah, it's set at like a 55-second loop, so it should loop consistently overall. And as it fades out of the sequence, it should also be playing in the background with the game. The fire sound is literally just playing from the standard, the start content. But in the so we got a little spark there from the lights kind of breaking. It was meant to be a dust particle effect, but given how bright it was, and I wasn't really sure how to change that, I decided just to keep it as a spark. In the sequencer, it obviously showed the water and the fire, and that was intended to be like if you go into this area, you're going to take damage. And as well, as you can see here, if I turn my flashlight on using F, the battery power will go down, and if I turn it off, it stops. And if it goes to 0, the actual battery itself just dies, and you won't be able to use it again. So those sparks went again there. That's because they all have their own timers set on them, and with that, they with the timers, obviously I can change when I want them to start sparking. So in those cases, those two were like 60 seconds, the other ones were at like 20. I just picked up a health cube there, which I'll go into the coding in a bit later, in a little bit. Going into the water here, you can see how the actual visual changes of it. So go over this and you'll pick up your battery again, but unfortunately the coding isn't entirely right with that. It just decides it wants to set it back at 0, which is annoying. Going back in the water now, and we're out. And now if our health goes to 0, so if it's going to fire now, game over, you know, so I can have a restart, which will take us back to the actual sequencer again, go through the cutscene, and you'll be back at 0, or we can just quit the game. I'll stay in this because it just saves a bit of time. Moving over into the blueprints. This whole section here is the area in which I started coding. Obviously over here you've got the HUD, which displays the health and the battery. Over here we've got the open menu, so when you play the game, if you press the key M, it will open up the menu, which will give you a pause. Well, it'll pause the game, and it will allow you to either resume the game or quit the game, a bit like with the game over. And that's the coding for it there. Over here is the flashlight, which is probably the piece of coding I feel like is, I wouldn't say my strongest, but I'd say it's probably the first bit of coding where I genuinely felt like I kind of knew what I was doing with it. Everything else I was kind of a bit all over the place, but once I watched a tutorial and everything on how to do it, it kind of clicked a bit. But yeah, basically it's like when flashlight, when the key is pressed on it, it's going to set its visibility, and then when it sets its visibility, it's going to see if the visibility is true or false, and if it is true, so if it is on, it's going to play this timeline, which starts from 1, the value of 1, all the way to 0, and goes down in increments of 2, pretty much. And from that, what that is doing is basically taking the battery life value, and it's going down. But if the visibility is set at false, it's going to stop. If the visibility goes down to 0, not visibility, sorry, if the battery goes down to 0, what it's going to then do is set a new visibility value of just off, so you can't turn the light on at all unless if the value is at 0. Moving up again, we've got the what happens if your health goes to 0, so it's going to get the HUD reference, it's going to check your health. If it's at 0, if it's less than 0 or equal to 0, then we're going to play the game over screen, set the cursor so you can move it around, and then obviously pause the game as well, and then from there you can decide if you want to quit the game or not. This here is the sequencer for the main cutscene, which is literally just starting cutscene. From there, we want to play and cast, and we basically want to stop the character from moving, so they can't do anything for the 30 seconds, which is the duration of the cutscene as well. And then once that is finished, we're going to enable the character to move again, so you can then start playing the game. Health cube over here is it's got a collision box, and when the player runs over it or overlaps with it, we're going to set the health back up to its full amount and then destroy the actor. And then we've just got a timeline over here, which gives it which just gives it its, if we can find one quickly. Over here you can see it's just got like a little ambient glow to it, and that will pulsate. It will go up and on. Actually, it probably won't because it's not playing, but yeah, but the glow will go on and off kind of thing, you know, in a pulsating way. Moving on to the so yeah, this is like the damage areas. So the actual areas, if the character collides in with this area, we've got our own variables that we can change for our own. So if we have different damage sections, we can then change how much damage is affected on the character to how much I want. And basically, if they walk into it, get the health and minus it the amount of the damage here, and then set that health, and then we have like a delay as well. Moving down into our particle systems. So this is the one I have for the fire, and it's literally starts off, basically the particle wants to start off big, so to speak, and then so the fire itself is going to start off big and then get progressively smaller as it gets to the top. Smoke, it starts off small, gets big as it comes out to show obviously the fact that it's burning. And then we've got little embers as well that come peeking out of the top as well occasionally, and they've all got their own different states and everything. And the sparks, or which was originally known as dust, because here it looks like more of like a dust falling from the ceiling, was literally just, it's got its own life. Its life cycle is only for like 3 seconds, so it plays for 3 seconds and then dies, and then just falls down to the bottom over the course of like 10 seconds, I think. Yeah, about 10 seconds. That's whole lifestyle is. But it will stop emitting particles after 3 seconds and then just let them progressively fall to the floor for the remaining of the 10. All of the main assets here were used just from the Rural Australia. Again, that's the open soundtrack. User interface. So we'll quickly skim over these. Very, very simple, but the HUD here is literally just health and battery, which have both been anchored to the top left there. Moving into the graph over here, health bar is literally cast the first person character, and whatever their health is, return it, and it's the same thing with the battery over there. With the menu, same sort of thing. It's got resume and quit, but they are both anchored in the center. And over here, so if the resume button is clicked, it will take away from the so with the first person character here, over here we've got obviously turn on the cursor and set pause. Obviously this one is just reversing it, and obviously quit is quit. Game over is the exact same thing, pretty much. Quit the game, but instead of this one, it's going to actually open the level by name instead, so it will replay the game again, rather than exiting the game, or rather than just resuming the game. And I think that is about everything, or all of the main pieces of my game. So thank you.